The people who showed up in person. Obviously, I know a lot of people are going to be joining online tonight. A lot of you called me and other members of the board and let us know that. So we want to be, receptive to everybody in their house. We understand that certain people might have immune issues, and it's safer for them to be at home. So if you're watching from home, we're going to pay special attention to the Facebook chat. So any questions you have, please put them in the chat. And as we go from segment to segment, we will stop. We will. Raph is actually going to help me. He's going to check and make sure if there's any questions or comments that we answer them. So I want to thank everybody for coming out. I know it's a nice summer day, so everybody had probably bigger and better things to do. I know everybody had some bigger and better things to do today, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. We're going to jump right into it. I want to pack in as much as we can of community updates. This is our first meeting, all of us together. 15, 20 of us who are here, and the people who are online, here together since COVID began. And our last meeting was really the day, and people here remember, it was the day before all the shelter in place and the lockdowns and everything else really went into place. So, we're back, and we're back kind of where we were last time. There's a lot going on. I don't need to tell anyone here this. You all know that. I guess the first thing that I wanted to do was bring everybody up to speed on Rodman's neck, because there's been some actually new developments in the last day or so. So, people really know there was a monitoring committee meeting in June with the community board and 45th Precinct Council. As you all know, I sit on the 45th Precinct Council. Just so you understand, they are talking about enclosing that 66% they're not talking about 66 to 80% of the range, but we still have a lot of questions, and we don't think we've been answered in a satisfactory manner. So today, the Precinct Council sent out some information requests, as we like to say, and I just wanted to kind of go through it all with you. A lot of it's pursuant to Freedom of Information law. We asked them for all the records on groundwater monitoring, the wells, the air monitors. They confirm they have all these things, and they've given us an exact number, but they didn't give us the readings. So we all thought that was a little fishy. So we asked them, please give us the air monitoring wells, please give us the air monitors, what do they say, and to address our environmental concerns here. We also asked them, pursuant to this, that we've heard that the DEC is supposed to have a monitor on the site, but doesn't. So we've been told one thing by one agency, another thing by another agency. So we're getting a little bit of a circular flying squad. So we're asking them to respond in writing. Because when people have to respond in writing and they know that what you put in writing could be used against you later on, people get very honest very quickly and start remembering things. We're also asking that they specify each agency that the NYPD works with to ensure environmental compliance. Maybe some of that's the EPA, some of that's the DEC, some of that might be the DEP. I mean, we've literally tried to flag them the groundwater monitoring wells, and we've been pointed to 3 different agencies. So we're doing what we can to try to get answers to these things. It matters to all of you. A lot of people here really care about the environment on City Island. I know we've all been working hard on this. So we're hoping that this will, hopefully, the best thing that can happen here is they write back a letter. Here's all the data you requested. We can bring it to some of the experts, and everybody's minds can be put at ease. But usually when people are hiding something, it's not a good surprise, as they like to say. But we'll find out. And then, so this was the one of the letters. The second letter is to the Department of Emergency Management, the Office of Emergency Management, rather. Everyone here pretty much gets the emails when they do the bomb shelter blasts and everything else, right? Pretty much everybody signed up to notify NYC. So we're trying to, first off, I'm not too thrilled with the bombs that go off here. I want to be very clear, but it is better to know than to not know. And what is measured, we can then act on later on. So we're now asking, if everyone remembers in 2018, when there were all those pipe bombs being mailed to different famous people, particularly people in the news industry, they were all literally being driven up here, and people were finding out they couldn't get back home to their homes on City Island because they were watching CNN and the chopper had the car, kind of like the OJ scene where the chopper had the car and it was coming here to be compressed. So asking for them to do now is that they will notify us if they're going to close down roadways as it relates to bringing in some of these funds. Again, if they can notify me every day that there's an accident on the Bruckner that's going to take me another hour or two, they can notify me that, or all of us rather, they can notify all of us that the range is shutting down roadways. You know, we have people who might have their kids in UPK over the island. We might have people who are caring for an ailing family member. And just knowing that is going to bring everybody, I think, a lot of peace of mind and ease.
I have a question.
Sure. So let me get through what we asked for, and I'm happy to take the question. Second thing is we asked for the, you know, they know when the shooting schedule is going to go up. They understand when there's going to be an increase in the shootings. They're usually timed around the NYPD crisis. So there is no reason that an alert cannot go out to everyone on the island that we are anticipating. Thank you. We appreciate it. Good night. It's always nice to have fans. It's always nice to have fans, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, we're asking for them to release the shooting schedules and let it out to us so we can know about what's going on with the shooting schedule, and we can know, people can plan around their lives like that. If they're having an event outside, something with their family members, they can really, they get not just peace of mind, but it's going to make life better for us all to be neighbors out here as we move forward. And then the last thing on this is the public service announcement. Everyone knows if you live on the water, you hear the PA system. Everyone knows. So what we are trying to do is that if you hear the PA system, it's not pleasant. And from what I understand, some people have actually woken up in the morning by the PA system, and they're literally having dreams about some of the orders they're hearing pulled at by the NYPD. So what we're asking is that they examine different forms of notification technology. Maybe it's email, maybe it's some sort of, something through the NYPD messenger phones. There's a lot of technology the NYPD is using now. I find it hard to believe that a PA that goes up at 7 o'clock in the morning or earlier is worthy of a department that's trying to venture further into the fight this country. So these went out today. We are hoping for some good responses on those. Number two is the utility lines. I know some of you have reached out. For the last few months, we've been working on the utility lines, particularly as they come down Shore Road by Bartow Hotel Circle. Is everyone familiar with that area? The lines are on the ground. Well, there's a lot of problems. We have been in touch with Verizon, with Village, with the Public Department, with OEM. And as a result of this, what we're dealing with primarily with all of this is that all these, they're not even agencies, they're public utilities. It's kind of a whodunit. It's this person's, it's that person's, what have you. But we involve, the community board is involved, Senator Biaggi's office is involved, and now the Office of Emergency Management was so concerned about some of the photos you guys have been sending us that they are actually, they're involved as well. So we're really hoping that this will kind of move things forward here. And that, again, we have a lot of problems in the park that are kind of emblematic of systemic neglect. We know this with the roadways. We know this with the lights being off all the time, which we're also,
John, can we try to use the microphone? There's
okay.
Poor sound.
Okay, back on the microphone. I hope this is easier for people who are participating. Ironically, I guess if they couldn't hear me on the mic and I'm right here, I guess they couldn't hear disruption a little earlier, so it kind of works out for everybody. So as it relates to utility lines, we are in touch. We believe the utility lines are owned by Altice, and we have been after them, and now we have the Office of Emergency Management who are getting involved because they're so concerned by some of the utility issues they're seeing in the country. So I'm hopeful that after 2 months, we're finally going to see the utility lines uplifted, and I don't want to say this in an amusing, funny way, but they're actually, some of these lines are sitting on used furniture that's also out in the park. If you go down Shore Road, you can see it as well. This gentleman had his hand up, so I want to answer his question.
Back to the number one,
Yes.
Rodman is that. Is is it that they want to, I'm not that familiar, that they want to enclose 80% of what they have?
Yes. So, good question. So, to bring everybody up to speed here, when they first announced they were going to redo Rodman's Neck, the big issue with Rodman's Neck is you can't really get meaningful noise reduction if it's not enclosed. In the 90s, the NRA actually wrote a letter to the NYPD, and I guess they, back then it was they were more concerned with this, and they were just saying, if you're looking to muzzle the gun, or the noise you're hearing, the only way to really do that was to fully enclose the range. So, that's the one thing this organization has done that I approve of, but regardless of that, they are right, and we kind of re-emphasize that every time we're in the monitoring committee meetings, is that Rodman's Neck does need to be fully enclosed. So, right now, we had originally been told when we first came out with Commissioner Bratton and the blueprints with the mayor, and I think it was then Councilmember Vaca, we go way back with this project, they were saying it was going to be 66% enclosed. We were asking for 100% enclosure. They were saying that was going to lift the cost of the project a lot. Shortly before COVID, in February, right before COVID hit, we had a second monitoring committee meeting. They said they were going to fully enclose the range, which we were all really impressed by. Now, given the budget cuts, given everything that's going on, they're back to 80% of the range being enclosed. So we're still in this moving target and range here. At the end, I am hopeful that maybe we can fully enclose the range. And then when we get done with the range, we've got to start dealing with the bomb squad and what we can do there, because it's not fair. Did I answer your question?
Certainly did.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Blackman. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, I remember. I do remember. We were talking about the February meeting at the community board office, right? But again, I'm sorry. I know you did speak during the meeting, if I'm not mistaken, and I know that. I know that. All right. So why don't we put together? I'll sit with you. We can put together an email. We can send it to the project manager. Is that fair? I'll sit with you. I don't mind doing. I'm here on camera saying I'll do it, so you'll have a way to hold me accountable. Okay. Does anyone else have a question either about the range or about the utility lines before we move on with this? And we're going to just sub out really quickly because we actually have, it's John, right? John is here. John Stardina. He lives on the island, and he's doing a workshop, and unfortunately he's only doing this for a short period of time, so I want to bring him up here so he can inform us of some of the resources he's bringing to the community with his Alternatives to Violence project. You want to come up here and so we can just get this for the people on there?
Thank you, John. So I'm part of a group that's called the Alternatives to Violence project. It began in Greenhaven Prison in 1975. It began as for people who are incarcerated to learn how to deal with the violence in their lives. Since that time, we're in 60 countries around the world, and we've done a lot of work in improving the lives of people who are incarcerated, as well as those left on the outside with other violence. And we're doing one on City Island, August 13th, 14th, and 15th at the Community Center. And I have flyers here for this. It's really quite an intense experience. It's a Friday evening, a Saturday session, and a Sunday session. And for the community to come away with your toolbox, it gives you the opportunity to move up to becoming a facilitator yourself. A lot of us work with people on the inside who are facilitating for other folks who are incarcerated at that time. We also do a lot of work with people coming out who need it. We have a program called Landing Strip. Typically you get $20 in a Metro card, but we do much more in terms of job counseling, food, apartments, and health care for people coming out. So I'll leave some flyers here. The information is here, my information is here if you'd like to know more about this. It's a very sad fact that after Attica in 1971, folks on the inside realized that they had to take care of themselves in a better way to deal with the violence inside themselves, because the system certainly was not taking care of them in a meaningful way, and that's how we began. And we've been going strong ever since. So thank you, John. I'll leave some flyers up on the line.
Does anyone have a question about this program before we move on?
Go ahead.
Thank you for the information. I'm curious, do you have any insights on how the program chooses what neighborhoods to focus on? Like how did City Island come to that, especially with the international opportunity?
It was all me. I live here. I've given workshops in Palestine. I've given workshops in El Salvador. I've given workshops in Nepal. We have a big program in Nepal. There's a lot of international work, but I've also done a lot of community workshops in high school kids. And because violence is endemic to our society, we were talking about this Bronx Times issue here was about the electronic recycling and violence, but that's the story of our lives. And this would be a way to really develop your toolbox for dealing with violence, because we've all experienced violence in our lives on a regular basis. Thanks for asking.
Okay, thank you, John, for that. And John, make sure to leave one of the flyers for us, because we'll put it on our social media page. Okay, we're going to move on right now. So right now, we've also gotten some, so for the and correct me if I'm wrong with this, but for the American Recovery Act, that was the first act. Now they're trying to pass the American Jobs Act. So for number one, the American Recovery Act, there's been a lot of monies placed into different city agencies, and a few of them are actually very interested in doing more with art grants. So City Island Rising is the only real community-based organization like this that has a 501c3 status. So we're letting all of you guys know if there is an artist who would be interested in applying for a grant, they'll have a few weeks. But if they are interested, please email me or email the group cityislandrising@gmail.com. And what we can do is we can partner with them and get some sort of, maybe a mural or something here on City Island. So we're always trying to think of ways we can use our status and our organization as a conduit to better the community or improve the community. That's our goal, that's our mission. The second thing is, as we discussed at the last meeting, we were talking a little bit about the ferry petition, and we're still talking about the ferry petition. Maybe that guy came in wasn't happy about the ferry petition. The person who's working on it is still kind of putting it together, so it'll probably be an online launch. But we'll have something at our next meeting in September for the petition. Again, this is just to trigger the discussion. As everyone here knows, the Frog's Neck ferry, which is going to be based out of Ferry Point, is going to go live in the fall. So once that goes live, once that's completed, we're going to have more discussions about expanding the ferry service. And I know that, both elected officials, past, present, and future, are supportive of extending the ferry service. And we've had some initial discussions with some of those individuals. And so this is basically to help City Island jump ahead and get ahead of the game here. So we just want to make sure people do that.
I think it's a very good idea.
And I believe that. We can only hope that all of the internet here heard you.
No, they're saying the sound is bad. I can't.
Okay. No problem. Do you have any questions on that?
The ferries going to Manhattan?
Yes, the ferry. So right now the ferry is going to stop. The Bronx-bound ferry is there are only two stops right now. The first is Soundview that operates. You go down to Shore Haven. You can go right there, and you can see the.
How could it be louder? I mean, they say there's some kind of air conditioning going on. I don't know what.
I'm not going to turn up the air
What?
conditioning. I hope they can get me a little bit, and if not, we'll play with the sound and we'll try to turn it up here. So, this is something that we are working on. So it stops at Soundview. It's going to extend to Ferry Point. And then there's a discussion. Are we going to, is it going to be Orchard Beach? Is it going to be City Island? We're not sure. And the fact of the matter is that, we want to engage in a conversation about this. And we want City Island to be heard. And you know what? Not everybody, I always joke, this is a neighborhood of civil to each other, and as long as we are, as long as we are engaged in a good faith discussion on these matters and people don't agree, that's what civic life is all about in a larger sense. So that's kind of what we're hoping to further with this. And I will say, when Beverly and Kim and David over here and a few others tabled outside with the craft fair, I mean, is it safe to say you guys are met with very receptive audience?
Absolutely.
And a lot of those people were City Islanders.
All of them were Seattle.
Yes, and I believe we already have.
All Seattle could sign the petition.
Okay, yeah. So again, and I believe they got about 70 signatures just from that 2-day experience. And that's with a few people who were very against the petition, also standing out there, which is their democratic right to give a counter opinion. So, and that's what makes things all very good. I apologize. Unfortunately, one of our board members got stuck at work, and another one is out of town. So I am kind of just doing the whole MC act here. And Cecil, go ahead. What do you have a question?
Half question or comment.
Sure.
But just speaking from the city government, former city government perspective, the rationale for not going with the ferry, and we've spoken about some of this, was that there would be a lot of community pushback. But now there's a shift in some of the citywide agencies because the waterfront has a lot more attention, and now the greater concern is whether or not the city will be able to pay for it.
Yeah.
Ridership. So at least the city, and EDC, which is usually very hands-off with the Bronx, they're taking it very seriously and starting to look at how they would make it work, how they would balance the budget.
The next time I want you, because when you say these things, you come in with a breadth of experience and knowledge, and I feel like you should be on the microphone next time so the people who are listening can hear you, because that was really good. Dan, go ahead. I'm sorry, you can.
And also, as far as commerce is concerned, or people running storefronts, the question is generally, how can we get here where we don't have to sit in traffic? Well, if we need alternative forms of transportation besides bike riding, the only other way to not sit in traffic is to take the ferry. So if we're concerned as a community about vacant storefronts, a way to help with vacant storefronts is to let people get here by ferry so that they can come spend their money on the island.
A lot of conversations that I've had with people outside was the fact that they love to come here, but in summer, they don't want to go to traffic. And if there's an alternative way for them to get here,
Yeah. No, I mean, look, and we talk about this a lot internally, lately on Zoom calls, but, on our own discussions here. City Island's traffic problem has been around since the horse and buggy days. It's going to be around in the Jetson electronic cars days. What we need is an all-of-the-above approach. So that's got to be the ferry. That's got to be 24/7 bus service. That's got to be, frankly, these scooters that are coming around, which we are not in the plan for, but we'll get to that, We'll get to that another day in time, but these are the conversations we need to be having, because the more people who utilize these other forms of transportation, less cars, fuel emissions, on City Island Road, sitting in standstill traffic, which isn't good for anyone. So, we just keep that in mind as well. So we will have more on the ferry petition at the next meeting in September. Maybe we'll even make it a focus. And actually, this is a very good segue, because the city is doing the NYC Streets Plan. This was something that Council Speaker Corey Johnson, this was his big push, that the city is now every 5 years going to do a plan where they solicit input from neighbors and neighborhoods about what is needed, what we'd like to see, what are our concerns, what areas aren't handicap accessible, what areas have blockage for bikes or for pedestrians, or roadways that are in bad repair, right? Most of the roads in Bay Park. So I'm going to ask Chris down here, take one and pass it around, but I think everybody's going to leave here tonight, roughly everybody, because I haven't brought 20 copies, but roughly everyone here is going to leave tonight, and we're going to put it on our online flyer here. With this flyer, which instructs you, go to the NYC Streets Plan. I did it last night. It took about 15 minutes. They ask you a lot of questions, and then you actually go to a map of the Bronx or wherever else you want to do it, where you can put in all your concerns. So if you'd like to see ferry service, you can put this in here. If you would like to bring up the fact that we don't have good pedestrian walkways on Cross Street, Miniford. This is a great thing you can do. If you want to bring up the fact that the potholes coming down City Island Road are kind of like something out of a war zone, this is a good place to put those things up. Because if the city is soliciting for input, if we all use our voices collectively and focus on the same things, we can really move the needle on these things. And I'm just going to remind everybody, I see some of the familiar faces in this room, that when we were all fighting for the commitment for the bus to be 24/7, which we're waiting for them to implement, but we were fighting for, and Bruce will tell you this, we all went to those MTA meetings when they had the roundtables, and City Island was probably the best represented community in those meetings, because we would come 20 people, 25 people. And as a result, when there's only 100 people there, and 1 out of every 4 people is from City Island, they can't exactly put all that money into hosting these meetings and saying they're going to be interactive, and then ignoring whatever comes out of the meeting. We're able, as a small community, to really use these types of forums to our advantage. And we can only fight, again, if we all raise our voices together, we can really make some good things happen. So, I use my plugs when appropriate here. So City of Water Day is this Saturday. One moment, that's good. City of Water Day is this Saturday. We are trying to do, if everyone remembers, we had a group of about 10 people. We did a kayak around the island. It was a lot of fun. The weather is not looking cooperative right now, but it could change. So if you'd like, grab your kayak. We're going to leave Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Schofield Street Beach. Should be fun. We had a great time last time. We had a lot of good people, and then we all went out to eat afterwards. So it was a good time all around. You have to bring your own kayak, unfortunately. So here's the problem, is that we went to one of the vendors on, local vendor, and he was going to put the calls to get them, but if it does rain, it's a problem. He's then went all the way to Long Island to get these other kayaks, and then that becomes a problem. But if anyone here is in need of a kayak rental, we'll work with you to try to figure out something. I think we can kind of work that out together offline. But we do want people kayaking. We do want to, get better use of our waterfront areas. And this is a good way to kind of build in the nautical charm that is today. We're doing something, everyone sees here, COAD. This is not some thing I made up. It's called Communities Active in Disasters. Beverly Jones and I are going to be the ones who are going to be putting together a panel to bring in different community organizations. We've tried this once before. People weren't, I think, feeling it at the time, but now we're in hurricane season. Everyone saw that video, some of the videos of some of the rain and torrential downpour we're getting. Let's use this warning we're getting as a call to action. And I think we're going to find a much more receptive audience. If you are interested in being a part of this, just let us know. It's going to probably involve bringing in OEM, Department of Health, and having some, it's going to be like a long-term project. It should be very good. And I think in the end, what it will do is that the next time we have some sort of natural disaster a la Sandy, we will have a plan in place that we can activate and kind of roll out. Who's vulnerable? Who's, and a lot of work that David and everyone else has done. Who's in need of food? Who's in need of some other level of assistance? Who needs to pick up their prescriptions? Who needs to go to their doctor? Like, these are the things we need to worry about. Who are the vulnerable homes that maybe if OEM can get a generator out to, we can help them stay in their homes and just stay safe and sheltered. So these are the things we're going to focus a lot more on now. Everyone knows we had the climate meeting with the mayor's office about 2 months ago. So this is kind of another leg of that stool. So we're working on that as well. If you are interested in the COAD, if you're listening, and hopefully you can hear me over the fridge online, if you're interested in the COAD there, please reach out to me or Beverly. You can email us at City on Rising or see me after the meeting. We want to get this up and going because maybe, this could be something really special to City Island. On the good news front, we've raised $1,400 for the Elizabeth Ness Memorial Bench. So we have raised enough to cover the bench. What we're doing now is the GoFundMe is going to stay live for another week or two. We're going to try to raise another $1,000 because we'd like to put a dedicated tree with that in the park, in Bridge Park. So if people are feeling generous, you can go to GoFundMe. I put the link, the link is at the bottom of the page, FYID. So please, consider a donation. Already 60 people have donated, and we've raised about we've raised exactly 1,500. We're trying to get it to 2,400 to cover everything. But either way, the bench is covered, so we're more than halfway to where we need to be. And we can always do the tree at a later time. It'd be easier to do it all at once. And Elizabeth Mass, for those of you, I know everyone here probably does know, but someone watches this online later, she was the construction worker who was unfortunately the victim of gun violence and was killed on City Island Avenue, the first homicide on City Island in almost 30 years. And send our condolences to her friends and family and her co-workers. She was well regarded in the community. We also did our ranked choice workshop. Everyone knows we have the ranked choice voting this time around, so we did a trial run, which I know about 20 or 30 of you participated in for your favorite City Island restaurant. And the winner, after 5 rounds, getting a majority, eating out crab shanty in the number 2 slot, was the Black Girl. So there you go. It took 5 rounds, and they got 54%. And we knew the answer before we knew the mayoral election. So, there we go. And then finally, our e-cycling event, which is in the Bronx Voice paper, which, as someone brought it out, was all bad news with the exception of the e-cycling event. We did get over 6,000 pounds of recyclables that were prevented from going into landfills, which is going to help our environment. It was a tremendous success that we did this, and so I want to thank Kim and Beverly and Louisa and someone else was probably there, and I'm going to get screamed at tomorrow for not remembering the name. I'm sorry in advance. But Eco Team Management or Eco Tech Management, who helped do this, they were totally professional. And the island, it was funny. I see people who, who might have passionate arguments about this, that, and the third, but everybody really took advantage of this. From all the different groups, all the different organizations, everybody came up. People who I don't think even, sometimes care as much about the environment. They're like, oh, I can get this thing out of my house. Come on up. So it was a really, really big success. They said it was one of the most successful events they've had ever. So we really did a good job. So I want to thank everybody in this room. I'm looking around, so a lot of you gave your electronics. Yes, and Andrea particularly gave a lot. But we want to thank everybody here for bringing their electronics, because it did save that from landfills, which is going to help the environment over the long run. Any questions? Okay, any questions in the room? Yes, sir. Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. The ferry is a two-way street. Sure. So, again, this is all open to negotiation later on. We're proposing a hypothetical. So we've got to work with what the city may or may not eventually want. So right now, these ferries go from the Upper East Side. I believe it starts in the 80s. It goes up to 125th, and then it goes to Soundview, and then it will go to Ferry Point in September. And we're trying to get it in, again, I think everyone on the island would like to see it at Orchard Beach. I think everyone on the island would like to hear it at Orchard Beach, and I apologize to everyone here that I'm a little too loud. But if we could get it to City Island as well, a lot of the young professionals, a lot of the businesses would really appreciate that. It would help cut down their commutes. It would help, increase property values. And again, it would bring a lot of people to the island. It would be a new amenity for the island, which could do a lot of good. I mean, we have, 25 vacant storefronts on this island? We've been trying the same thing since the 70s. And we're getting upset now that and again, the economy is changing too. And look, we're at fault for some of this too, right? I say this all the time, but again, I see the Amazon truck on my block every day on my way to work. So, it's usually my sister, who apparently, is either running a small business or I might have to turn into Homeland Security. But, she gets a package every day. And look, that works for her, and she's a first responder, and I love my sister. issues that are watching this. But the point of this is that the economy is changing. The things you used to go pick up in your general store, or this, that, or the other, or some of these little shops, if people can get the goods cheaper on Amazon or online somewhere, they're not going to those shops. It's more convenient to get the stuff shopped at home. So as a result of that, and again, some of the foot traffic here has changed. That's what it is. And sometimes we don't focus on the fact that maybe 4,500 people can't economically sustain 60 storefronts right now. So this is one proposal that would inject clearly some level of economic vitality to the neighborhood, sir. I'm not saying it's the only solution, but it would clearly help a Main Street that has been suffering for a long period of time. And, you might have some concerns, and you know what? I'm glad you have some concerns, to be perfectly honest with you, because these are things that should be brought up in a public meeting, and we should try to address your concerns if this ever happens, and mitigate those concerns when possible. And just so you know, I happen to be doing a lot of work down in Soundview in the last few months. And when I was on the doors and talking to people, as direct interactions, we're a nonprofit, I can't exactly say what I was doing, but the people were telling me that when the ferry first started, there were parking issues. But as the bus routes changed, as people adjusted their commutes, those parking problems really subsided. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Maybe people are having their spouses drop them off. Again, people started taking bikes there. The bus routes did change to make it a lot easier for folks. So these are all things we're going to have to consider as we go forward. And I'm not saying I have all the answers here now. I don't have the transportation chops that Cecil in the back has. But what I am saying is that it's worthy of discussion that everybody on City Island needs to improve. That's all. Okay, so we're on number 3 here. These are our community issues that are still pending in law. So, sometimes we actually do get good news or things are progressing, and I'm not ready to do some sort of formal announcement right now, but one of the major gripes that young families have on the island right now, one of their major concerns, and we do have a lot of people, I don't know if anyone just saw, but I had a friend just walk by, she's going to have her baby in 2 weeks, so a lot of younger families are really concerned about the UPK situation. I said, I'm going to be back to UPK. Everyone remembers 2 years ago, it shut down. The Archdiocese isn't really using their property. We're keeping an eye on that. But a service that really helped a lot of City Islanders went with it. And I know Beverly Jones, her son went to that UPK and really liked it. And we're trying to bring that back. So we've been working with some of our elected officials, chiefly Assembly Member Benedetto, who's the chair of the Education Committee. And he's been having conversations with the Chancellor that this is one of those major education priorities he has for his district. So they said to him, after a while, find us a nonprofit that will do this. So, we started reaching out to some local nonprofits, and I'm not going to give the name now because they're not 100% but they're not there. Nothing's signed yet, but there is a nonprofit that does a lot of work with UPK that is extremely interested in doing this on City Island. It's a good nonprofit, it's a good name, and the hope is that we can get the nonprofit, get them some space out here, and really bring that amenity to a lot of the younger families that may need it. Just 1 second, sir. And that is what we are trying to do. So that is on the good news front. Number 2 is we're doing an upstanding training. We had this at our past meetings with the Commission on Human Rights, who enforces a lot of the city's discrimination laws. People have been seeing all these issues of people fighting and whatnot, and people being, unnecessarily aggressive. And, hate crimes are up in the city of New York. I hate to say it, but, this is the reality of the world we live in sometimes. And we're going to be doing an upstanding training, so if you find yourself in that situation or somebody can pick on or whatever, what you can do to make things better for everyone. Because we don't want people being targeted, whether they're, who they are, what they look like, who they love,
immigration status, I don't care. We want everyone to be treated with neighborly and with respect. So this will be a furtherance of that. We were going to do it during the summer, but as everybody sees, there's still some lingering concerns about COVID, and there's a lot going on. So we're actually going to postpone this until September. It's the decision when we had our board meeting. Number 3 is our cleanup day. We're going to probably do this in co-sponsorship with Senator Biaggi's office. Everyone remembers we had her staff member Emily, who was on the call with us last time, Emily Vasquez. She is working to put together a bunch of community events in the Senator's District. We're going to co-sponsor one here. We had a great community day that David Diaz and others put together last year. We had about a dozen people, and it really went well. We cleaned up a lot of the island, and we actually cleaned up that whole bush that grows by the bridge and obstructs part of the bike path and forces all the bikers to get up there. And we're actually going to go out and take care of that on our own. But this will be in keeping with that. I think it'll be a good thing. And then D, because not everything in life works out, we had a great e-cycling event, but unfortunately, despite the very hard work Joanne Valletta's been doing on this, we didn't, the Bronx-bound books, which is a kind of literary amenity education event, unfortunately, they had some unscheduled issues with the bus, so we had to cancel, we had to postpone it. At the end of June, we're going to do it in September. So that's what happened. That's how we dealt with it. Joanne's been doing a lot of work on this. A lot of people have been bringing in books. There's actually some books in the back that people donated. The books, gently used books or new books, can be recycled. So if you have issues like that, bring them in, and we will do what we can to get them, or you can email us at City Island Rising. We'll pick up the books from your house and give it to them. And then on the day of the event, they'll be right outside here for the coffee. We'll have the parking closed off, and we'll have our group to sponsor some form of like coffee or donuts or something like that to bring people out. But it's going to be a good event for young families. The bus is very nice. The woman who runs it, she's really enthusiastic. So it's going to be a nice event for young families. We were going to have a vote on a banner, but I'm gonna hold off on the vote because we have got 20 people here for those of us who are watching online. I'd rather we had a full quorum before we started spending money on things, and some of the board isn't here, so I'm not exactly sure what the governance is, so we're gonna move off on that. Next thing is we have the open floor. Is Stephen Dershowitz here? Yes. So you want to come up here and speak?
No, I'll rather do it from here.
Okay.
I live on City Island. I've been here about 22 years. And I had a thought that to have volunteers go out, to assign a block or their block to go out and sweep the curbs and sweep the sidewalks. And you can do it on maybe once a week or whatever. And I was thinking of possibly contacting Home Depot, asking them if they might want to contribute 25 brooms and cases of black garbage bags. And I think that from their standpoint, if they knew that they were working with City Island, Bronx Home Depot might have to be a feather in their cap to make their community a lot cleaner. And I think that people would respond if it's done. I don't know how we could ask people to go out and do it. I would be more than happy to volunteer and go up and down blocks and ask people if they might want to do it. But I think if they could just keep and the streets for the most part are pretty clean. If you go to other areas of the city, City Island does look so much better. But I think if we could make it even better, I think it would make us look good. I think it would be inspirational for other areas of the city to see what we've done, and they might want to do the same kind of thing. And I'd be more than happy to work on a project like that and try to get some volunteers and maybe just get some feedback from what people here might be thinking about.
Or we sort of like adopt the highway sort of thing, adopt the block.
Stephen, I think it sounds wonderful, and we're going to save you a little bit of the legwork here, because we're going to all work with you together. We already have a very good relationship with Home Depot. They actually supply a lot of our cleanup tools. So let's put together the parameters, but I don't think they're going to be a problem. They're actually, David, you all right if I announced what we got going on tomorrow? So David here, who is like the feeder of a lot of those in need on City Island. He won't toot his own horn, so that's what I'm aiming for. He has fed hundreds of people on City Island, particularly when things were bad during COVID. People were in need, and David and Chef Alex and the Boy Scouts and other groups did a lot of really great work on that. And but David has been at the forefront of that, and one of the people he's been working with is Reverend Jolly. And Reverend Jolly had asked if we could get a freezer for a lot of for the food pantry he has, and a lot of the meats and everything like that. I guess you would say the perishables. And so, again, this is one of the benefits of having nonprofit status, is a lot of the big corporations will give us things, and they can write it off on their taxes. And, David reached out to me, I reached out to a few people I know, and actually Home Depot is going to David and I are going to pick up tomorrow I believe it's a 7 cubic foot freezer that will be in the food pantry at the Grace Church. No, Trinity Methodist Church. Sorry, I'm looking at you, I'm thinking Grace, but I mean Trinity. I'm sorry, I mean Grace, Grace Church, Grace Methodist Church. Trinity Methodist Church. Trinity on Bay Street. We'll cut that from analysis here. So, that's good. And again, if there are different things we can do to sponsor things, please let us know. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You know what? Not only can you add yourself to the opening floor, why don't we put you on the floor right now, sir? If you wouldn't mind, just because if you're on the mic, just so that I can get that. Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Steven as well. I'm a co-organizer with South Bronx Mutually and also with Anchorage, which you may know we opened Anchorage along with Grand Fiber on the side of my parents' house. You might have seen it. South Bronx Mutually also, we are a not-for-profit and we're applying for 501c3 status. So that's kind of where we're at right now with the organization. Just an update on Anchorage, we are still stocking and maintaining the food regularly, multiple times a week. We are also putting out a call, as always, for volunteers, anyone who's available to bag produce and not in family-sized packaging. You receive them in large bundles with, like I say, kale or cilantro, stuff like that. Just to be able to bag those in family-sized portions to put them in the fridge and other things around the Bronx that we also steward for other families who also, can't put some of these foods, perishable and imperishable. Anybody who's going to stock the fridge or clean the fridge as well, it's also very welcome. If you're interested, you can visit southbronxmutual.com. There are links there for volunteering and also donate to our organization. If that's a little bit too long of a link to type or hard to type, that's something you see from place to place. There's also a short link, it's SBX, as in Bronx, SBX.NA. So if you go to SBX.NA for the website, it's there, and you can go to SBX.NA/volunteer or /donate. I want to give another update for other things that South Bronx is up to this information. It's kind of a saga, the recent events that transpired, but I'm going to brief. We received a distress call from the North Bronx from a mother who has 2 small children, daughters at the age of 8 and 9. They were being, at the time we received the distress call, evicted from their home, and as you know, there is an eviction moratorium still in place. So this is a legal eviction in the North Bronx. And so we arrived on the scene with co-organizers of our group, organizers from other groups and our friends to protect this one because the landlord was looking after a consumer, or kicking in the door, attempting to kick in the door, coming in through the window to just move this mother and her 2 small children out of the apartment. And so we responded on the scene, we were able to prevent them from doing so, but in the event of doing so, found out this is a much larger issue of
husband was serving as the keeper of the building for 7 years without pay, and they had the ability to have free rent, so this was not a rent issue for eviction. The fact of the matter was that the husband, after 7 years of not being paid, had told the landlord that he was not going to work for free anymore, and so because his family was undocumented, the husband was soon thereafter picked up by ICE. So he is in detention currently right now. It's been several weeks, more than a month, I believe, and the mother and the 2 small children left in the apartment without any income or any way to provide for himself. And that's when the landlord decided to swoop in and try to pick him out of the apartment. So we have arrived at the apartment several times to document the conditions of the apartment. They've opened the door, they've broken the window, they've broken several times, they've removed some of the belongings, stolen property, and shortly thereafter, just boarded up the door with police and came and get into the apartment anymore, opened the windows. She is safe in another location with her 2 small children. At the time that this first responded, it was really well birthday. So some of our organizers came in like did magic tricks while we were checking the family and had a whole birthday party just to prevent further trauma for these children. The family across the hall is actually related to them. They shared the same bathroom and sink, so when the apartment was boarded up with wood, the other family had no access to the bathroom or running water. Literally, the other family's apartment was a square space, big cinder block with no bathroom or running water. So, and they had children. So at the time, the other family kind of were able to report what was going on, to help us get police information with authorities. We are currently in court against the landlord, but the landlord, finding out that this other family was across the hall and essentially told them what was going on, also threatened as well. They also undocumented and was threatening to board their apartment as well. So we moved that family out as well. They're also safe. Their belongings, thankfully, we spent some of our daily funds to create a home security system and monitor the situation at the time. Found that there was no belongings that were stolen. So everything got out, got the family out, and we were ready to pay. But we are currently in court to get the landlord to the first apartments that the mother and the 2 children have their belongings. So it's been a saga. It's been kind of a lot for a small group like ours to respond to this thing and try to help the community and the areas that have been bankruptcy that includes helping people with their immigration status and other legal help. So that's this time it's just interview and we go through some of our funds to help these families. So if at all possible, it would be helpful and you felt it in your hearts to bring this organization to each community as well. Thanks for listening to that.
Does anyone have a question for David?
Yeah, sure. If you go to southbronxfuture.com,
and we'll put something on our website. But I also on Facebook or social media. I also, and when I was doing that people's meeting, I was doing listed work. The police gets all the editors. I did like you and there was a lot of amazing work. And it was a momentary slip up and nothing of malice from me. So thank you for coming, and everybody should give them some. If you have the ability to, encourage your friends and families. SBX.MA. SBX.MA.
It's on, all the information is also on the anchor bridge, which is
Oh, great.
So
people can go right to Schofield.
Yeah, you can go up and all the way.
So people could go right to Schofield Street. It's right on the bridge. You can make a donation, and very worthwhile doing. And I think to further, why don't we pick a day? We have 1 or 2 days a month, and we'll go down as a group, a rising group, and we'll help out there. Okay? So I'll work with you guys, and we'll make that happen. I actually spoke there in
Have you considered having boxes on like here, whatever, people when they come in, dropping coins or dollars when they're here, like does that make any sense? Perhaps we could get some of those type of things put up and put them on the counters of businesses.
All right, thank you so much. So that was a very good kickoff to the start of old business and new business. So I tried with the board, and unfortunately, we had a few members who had different emergencies pop up, a few different overbookings. I had an overbooking, but I was just here. It's that time of year. So I think a lot of this is covered in what we've done here today, but is there anything on old business, something that came up at a meeting that you want an update on, that you forgot, something you spoke about, anything? Go ahead. Likewise. Yeah, well, right now, yes, Gateway. Gateway. And what's called the Gateway? Yeah, they're still, it's actually, if you go to our YouTube page, the same meeting about Rodman's neck, if you open the more info segment, there were a few different subjects discussed that night. One of them was the Gateway, because the DOT commissioner was there. I just happened to be there because of Rodman's neck. I wasn't even planning on staying for the whole meeting, but it came up, and I figured, why not, come up and say something. And, I kind of, and I like a lot of people who serve in government, but I kind of unloaded a little bit that it's been 3 years, or 2 or 3 years they've been using this area as a parking lot, as this, as that, and they know full well that the property is not supposed to be used for that purpose. So it's one thing when it's the people who are working on the bridge, and they're storing the materials. I don't like it, but you could argue the greater good of the community, the bridge needs to get done, the water main work needs to get done, we'll allow that. But now it's like some other construction company, we don't know what's going on there, but it's still being worked on. Linda Baldwin has led that effort, and we need to get in touch with her, but we can definitely push it. So, again.
Oh, I just want to say thanks for dealing with Lake Orchard as a private citizen, not as a part of my business, because I bike every single morning, and it's incredible the first whole time you bike, it's not bad, but you're in traffic or you're late to get through the bike home and get to work. So we appreciate it, and in fact, Tom Logan took so long. It's really
cool. And it's not over yet in the sense that on bad rain days, it's still not always going to be great. But the good thing was of doing the mayor's meeting, and that was the thing with all the photos that we did at the last meeting, is that someone from the mayor's office was there and reported back to one of the deputy mayors. So no longer are we going to get the whole circular firing squad on each other when something goes wrong. We're going to, they're really interested, and they made, DEP went out there to clean the basement, the catch basin that's there, and then Parks needed to fix it and maintain it now, and they own that basement. So it cut a lot of the bureaucratic double talk, and it's ridiculous that we had to go out there, like 2 different times with the media to shame them to get this done, but I am grateful to the mayor's office and Miguel Rendon, who was the liaison there. He helped arrange the climate flooding tour, and we still have a lot of flooding locations to get to, like Tier Street, where some people live, like Cross Street, where I got this crazy video sent to me, but we're still moving on all those things. We're still, David takes photos, I take photos. If you live in an area that gets a lot of flooding every time, and we're not talking hurricane status, if it's just regular flooding, like bad flooding, when it's just like a rainy Tuesday, let us know. We think we have most of the locations, but we're submitting them all, and we're working with Sea Grant New York to document a lot of this, and there's more to come on this. So thank you. So that's old business. Anyone else in old business? New business? Anybody? LA.
Religious organization, community organization, and I think that's a wonderful idea, especially in a place like Twin Waters. And I'm wondering if anyone is doing something like that, or talking about it, or any of the elected officials, about getting a group of people. Like, for instance, I'm bilingual. I used to be very happy to
job, which he's not here representing, but he actually works for the Congress. So why don't you step up here so people can actually see you and hear you a little bit. Yes? You know the answer, so I'm not going to use you. If you know the answer, I'm going to put you on here. Come on. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Cecil Rose. It's a pleasure to be here. Just a little background. I live in Mount Haven, raised there, South Bronx way. I love City Island. My dad was a big fisherman. He used to bring me up here like every weekend growing up, and I used to live like more in the Palo Alto area with my mom. So yeah, I'm a child of the South Bronx, but like nephew of the whole Bronx, and supporting City Island and East Bronx is really important to me. So that being said, right now, which thank you, John, I'm not representing Congress, but I do work in government, so the federal government is building partnerships actively with different members of the nonprofit sector, the medical sector, and a good example of that is the Presbyterian Hospital Network, just so people can envision like what's possible, what can Congress and government do. The Presbyterian Hospital system, they already had a bunch of vaccines earlier this year, and we're talking January, February, before like anything basically was distributed correctly. And so by chasing down the right people, having a certain platform, making sure people are submitting 311 complaints, making sure people know where the hospital is supposed to be serving, what areas need service, we were able to build a partnership where an extension where the priority zip codes were not necessarily just in that 2 square block radius, which is not a lot of people in Upper Manhattan, but a lot of zip codes in the Bronx, in the South Bronx, the East Bronx, a lot of places in Harlem, the places that were really, really high, like hotspots for the epidemic, they would essentially get front track for vaccines. And later, we were very lucky. A lot of it, we had a lot of help with other levels of government. But now, even now, if anyone needs a vaccine, we have a hotline, a phone number, we have a dedicated email system, and literally, without any waste, we've had a really good record. So, the Presbyterian Hospital is directly serving a lot of members of our community now. And so, if you need anyone, especially if you have people who have been trying other places downtown, they've been going to Gabbard Center, they've been waiting, please let us know. We will go out to like any neighborhood, basic gravel, still young, recent college grad.
He's enthusiastic. So
yeah. Only for my 20s.
Send me the information, we'll get it out there on social media. And we have Presbyterian Senior Services. So maybe we can do some sort of partnership with them. I know they've done vaccination.
I was just going to say that also.
Yeah, it's at the assessment. So maybe
a lot of pharmacies and stores will actually take like a smaller version of that partnership, and they will, safeguard some vaccines if you have enough seniors who are looking for service in that area.
And I know the city.
Talking about a community organization.
Yeah. Why don't I reach out to the mayor's office and let me see, maybe they have something where we can just go out as volunteers and they can come and listen to us. I was going to say, maybe we can make this day of action. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Okay, let's see what we can do on that. Because I agree. And let's give him a round of applause. He doesn't actually need to be here. He just wants to be friends with some of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Always adds a lot of knowledge to what's going on. So I appreciate that. He's come down here. And that's worthwhile. I do know right now, the Notify NYC, they will literally go to your door. But I think you're right that in certain cases, maybe a peer-to-peer communication can take someone who's still on the fence and move them to a better place. And this neighborhood, we do have to say, is one of the most vaccinated neighborhoods. So the people
There we are.
there we are. That's true. Not us. We're doing okay. And we should do a day of action and try to at least get our neighbors and maybe
The big issue may be communication. Just not knowing. Right? So get out there, talk to them, and go to place.
I should have it in there. It's funny you say that.
All the vaccines
The mayor's office sent the van here a few times, and he sent like staff, like a field tip, and they were really wonderful. I have to say, they were knocking doors, people were showing up. So I'm gonna reach out to them. I like when people get good ideas. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything else in new business before we close down? Yes, sir. Always. UPK is universal pre-kindergarten. We talked about it a few times. This is
Essentially nursery school.
Yes.
Yeah, it's called.
It's pre-K. This was Mayor de Blasio's major initiative. We had one out here, I want to say about 2015, 2016. It ran until 2019, because then the archdiocese had closed. We need to get it back up here and started. It's not fair that all these families have to go to, again, we're talking a 20-minute add-on to their commute. And a lot of these are working families. So, all we ask for, and why groups like this put up, and what we take our charge to be, David, myself, Dan, everybody else, is that, we want, we're part of the city too, and we just want our fair share of services. And we're going to fight to make sure that we get safe.
Program, I think that's a big program.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We did it at the research catchment on the club, right? But it was, free, and the year before that, I had them in private, and there was a full $100. So,
What is that? Right now. My illegitimate ones may walk in again. Anyway,
You're on camera, guy.
Keeping it light here at about 9 o'clock. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. Before we have a few things here. We were going to do a raffle, but I think we have enough. If anybody wants to go to the Botanical Gardens, they're having a community partner day. This is on July 22nd. So if you're interested in raffle, what's the date on your tickets?
It's all of August.
So we have some for July, and then the rest are August 1st through 31st. This is a weekend-only ticket. You got your
No, it's
vaccine?
Tuesday to Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tuesday through Friday. Weekdays only, I'm sorry. So if you are interested, we're going to leave these in the front. Since you guys are the ones who showed up here, I'm sorry to the people online. If we have any left over, I'm sure I'll get a message. But if you'd like these, feel free to take. No questions asked. You want to bring your family? No questions asked. Farrah Rubin from Councilmember Jonai's office couldn't be here, but she sent over a bunch of events. So I'm just going to run these off real quickly and we'll conclude the meeting. Jonai is doing a helmet fitting distribution event on August 14th at Helen Bay Park. So if you'd like to get a helmet, they're going to distribute. I think this is primarily for children. So, but if you'd like to get a helmet for your children, just come down here, you can get one. Give your kids, yeah. You can bring the UPK and then you can get the helmet.
You have kids, John?
Right, yeah. I'll get them on stock now. When I'm working on the UPK. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, one more club. Yeah, I'm involved with the Barcelona Mansions in Park. So if anyone ever wants to tour there, or you have events, there's event space that we're actively trying to make accessible.
Great, thank you very much. And then we had, there's a concert, there are a bunch of concerts, but there's one on City Island on August 20th. This is the Live and Kick-It tribute to Pepe Cardona at Ambrosini Fields that John is sponsoring, so I'm going to leave a flyer for this up at the front. And then he's having office hours at the City Island Library, July 28th, 2 to 4 p.m., and that's again 320 City Island Avenue, Bronx, New York, 10464. So if you'd like Botanical Garden tickets, we have them. If you'd like some of the flyers for Jonai stuff, we have them up here. And we're here for one-on-one stuff. Are there any questions on that thing we need to answer right now? Or are they more personal?
Nah, just complaints about sound.
I'm sorry about the sound.
Where is this invisible fan or air conditioner? There's no silent in here.
I will watch the video. We tweet the video with some friends with some great video editing stuff. So we'll try to get good. So good night, everybody. Thank you all for coming out. Oh, and thank you for Peter for hosting us. Shop some